Here in Charlotte, North Carolina, on just about 3 acres, and I'm going to give you a quick tour of my chicken setup. So to give a quick overview, this is the chicken coop. It used to be a little shed that was way back there. I moved it over here. I went with an electric fence that I got from Tractor Supply, and this area is about 90 by 70 feet, and it's charged on this little solar panel battery up here. It is about 4 volts. So the first thing you can see is I got some trees from back in the woods for the corner posts, and I just put them in. The one in that far corner is attached to a live tree, but every other post I just dug into the ground. I'm gonna put these metal T-posts in the rest of the way around. I put these insulators on and started stringing through the electric fence. Now, I first thought that that would be the only thing that I would have to do, and then the chickens started slipping through and it didn't seem to affect them at all. They would just slip between the wires, not get zapped. So it's more of a keep the predators out situation. So what I had to do was buy this. This was the cheapest thing I could find. It's like a plastic mesh that I believe I got at Lowe's. And so I just put that on the inside. I put garden staples into the ground to hold it in, and then just zip tied it around. And that seems to do the job. Chickens don't get out now. I had to clip each one of their wings, just one wing, clip their flight feathers, and they haven't been able to fly out. So that's been a success. One idea that I got from Edible Acres on YouTube was to make sure that I put a bunch of trees and plants and bushes in here, because it helps with the hawks. So that's part of why in that back corner I made the fence go back into those bushes to give the chickens a place to hide. I also transplanted this fig tree, so when that grows in the springtime, has all the leaves, it'll be another place for them to run down and hide from the hawks. You do get hawks around here sometimes. But so before I had this setup built, the chickens were in just a tiny little run. You can see up there that it's up by the garden, that little black crate right there. They were in there, and then I would let them free. That's where they would sleep. I would let them free range around the property, and they wouldn't want to go back in there. They would actually sleep up in that tree in the back. There's a small tree just in front of the pool over there, and they would go up and sleep up in the tree. And we've been here since August, and it is now January, and we only lost maybe 1 or 2 chickens in that entire time. And at the old house, we lost both flocks of chickens in the 3 or 4 years that we had chickens there. And the old house was a smaller setup, maybe 10 by 20 feet. And I had it fully enclosed. So that's something to think about, is the chickens here out in the open, they're able to sleep up in the tree away from predators, and they have places to hide from predators. And I was trying to keep them safe at the old house, and I had the whole thing fully chicken wired in, and I was still losing chickens constantly because things would tear off, pull the staples out and tear open a hole and slip through, or they would dig under the fence. And so I ended up losing all the chickens twice. But here, we've only lost 2, and since I've had this set up with them in here, I haven't lost any. And at the old house, I would even go at night and close up the coop and open it up in the morning, and I would still lose some during the day. Lose some to different predators. I don't even know what would get in. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna get an automatic door on the front of the coop that just opens and closes. Even though I can leave this door open at night and still not lose any chickens because of the way this electric fence does such a good job at keeping the predators away and keeping them out. The only thing that I've been worrying about is the flying predators. I've also put this little guard owl here. I don't know how well it really works, but he's just sitting up there. So this is where I keep their food. And then if we go on vacation somewhere out of town, I will fill these up. It's just PVC pipe. It curves up at the bottom, and I fill those up with food, and it lasts. I could fill both of these up and it'll last a week at least. I have 2 others that I could set up as well if we went away for a longer period of time. This is their water setup. It works really well, except not when it's below freezing, and it's been below freezing. So inside this pipe, it's actually been getting frozen. So I've been having to fill up that thing every day. So if you're in a colder climate, I'm sure you have other solutions. Usually it doesn't get below freezing too often here. So for most of the year, this is a really good setup because I only have to fill it up maybe every 2 or 3 months. And then they just have water and I don't have to do anything with their water. What I used to have at the old house was this exact same setup. I brought this with me here, but I had the old coop I had built out of pallets, and the water would go down the roof and it would fill up right into there every time it rained. So at the old house, I had that setup. I never even had to fill up the water at all. The rain just did it for me. I might eventually do that here, maybe get some more roofing like that and just collect the rainwater right into there, and then I'll never have to touch it. These 2 areas, so this one I have fully enclosed. This is where I clean out all their poop into here for compost. It's leaves and chicken poop that I'm gonna use for the garden. This section is all just mulch, wood chips that I pile up, so that can also break down and start composting. Use that for the garden. If I keep this area open, they'll dig through it, and they've been doing that, so I've kind of closed them off to that area, and hopefully that'll turn into some really good compost. I use leaves for the inside of their coop, for the bedding. You know, some people use pine shavings and other types of bedding, but as long as your leaves are dry, and we have plenty of leaves from these trees. So, and you could even, people will put them out, you know, in the street. You drive around in different areas and you could find people bagging up leaves and putting them out by the street to be collected, taken away in the garbage. And you could even just pick those up and use those and put them in the coop. And as long as they're dry leaves, I mean, the chickens don't mind. It works well, and it's free. So that's just an overview. I'll go in depth and more in other areas, and I'll make some other videos talking about exactly how I do each thing, explaining each part, explaining the water, explaining the fence. But that's basically why I did the fence the way I did it here, is because I didn't have a lot of success at the old house, which was similar setup with woods behind us. We just had less land, so I had them fully enclosed. But that didn't work out as well as I wanted. So the chickens seem to know what they're doing as far as staying safe from predators. Thanks for watching.